Welcome back, everybody, to Niners Now. I'm your host, Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. You can follow me there. And over the weekend, we got some massive Brandon Ayuk news. It appears that there is a chance the Brandon Ayuk era in San Francisco is over just after he signed his massive extension. We're going to get into all the details in today's episode. And of course, stick around until later in the show because it is time for the 49ers Week 12 preview show. The Niners have a huge primetime game tonight against the Panthers, and we'll preview the matchup and go over the playoff implications today. But of course, before we begin, go ahead and subscribe down below. I really appreciate the support you guys have been giving. We just hit 500 subscribers. I'm super thankful for you guys. Much appreciated. Every subscriber means so much. So if you're not subscribed, please consider it. Leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into the video. So, like I said, not going to beat around the bush. Brandon Ayuk up first. On Friday night, Diana Rossini and Mike Silver put out a report that the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk might be heading for a divorce. Back in July during training camp, 49ers reportedly voided Brandon Ayuk's 2026 guarantees. And Brandon Ayuk will not fight this decision with the NFL Players Association. And this is really big news because Ayuk has zero guaranteed money for the rest of his contract now. He is it's non-guaranteed the entire rest of the way, which, first of all, makes him a lot more tradable and makes him a lot more cuttable. And the fact that Ayuk is not even fighting that decision with the NFLPA means that he's okay with this. He's okay with potentially moving on, or he's okay with the reasoning that they took away his guarantees. Now, this happened back in July, and we haven't found out about it until here in November. But why do this? We haven't gotten a very clear answer from Kyle Shanahan. He said it was something out of the coach's hands that led to that decision over the summer. And I think it's got to guarantee that he gets moved, right? Whether it's a trade or a cut at the end of the season, it feels like a guarantee. Apparently, the contract was the only thing keeping him on the roster, and they would have tried to trade him in the offseason had he not, had this giant contract. But, it's tricky. We're getting some more information since Friday from the team's perspective, right? Kyle Shanahan has come out and said, hey, we'd love to have Brandon Ayuk around. We'd love to have him be part of this team. We'd love to have him play. What happened in July does not affect how we feel about him here. And that's great and all, but I don't think Ayuk wants to be here anymore. It seems like he pretty clearly wants out. Ghosting, communication issues. He's been absent from the facility for a while now. It's just weird. And if this is the case, that Brandon Ayuk wants out, for whatever reason, he just wants to leave, and he's pulling a Devondre Campbell, good riddance. There's no place for that on this team. There's no place for somebody who doesn't want to be here. I love Brandon Ayuk. He's one of my favorite players on the entire team, and he's got some really great moments. But you can't have that sort of energy in the locker room, or even on the PUP list, right? You can't have a guy who doesn't want to be here. It never ends well. Didn't end well with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not ending well with Brandon Ayuk, right? We're going to get more into the Brandon Ayuk situation later on in the week. Hopefully some more details are revealed. But for now, I do want to focus on the Carolina Panthers and the big game that the 49ers have this week. So with that said, let's get into the game day checklist. Of course, leave your thoughts in the comments below if you want to chat about Brandon Ayuk. I know I certainly do. We'll be spending plenty of time on it this week on the channel, so stay tuned for those episodes. But yes, Week 12 game day checklist. I've got a list of 3 things the 49ers must do to take advantage of this game, this matchup, and beat the Carolina Panthers. First, you got to limit the explosive plays. I think explosive plays are the ways that Carolina is going to win this game. You've got really explosive guys like Rico Dowdle and Tetairoa McMillan especially. Those are the guys I'm really worried about. But Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers, he's currently 33rd out of 37 qualifying quarterbacks in average depth of target. That means his targets are majority very close to the line of scrimmage. He's dink and dunking. He's not really pushing it down the field. If you want to let Bryce Young complete 47 passes, as long as it ends in a win, I'm okay with it. limit the yards after catch, limit the explosive plays, and tackle well, right? I think if you're able to do that, then you're going to be able to keep this Panthers offense in check and be able to win the football game. Because really that's what it's all about, right? Bryce can be as efficient as he wants in the short to intermediate game, but as long as the Niners defense is able to rally to the football and swarm, like we've talked about in this segment before in this season, swarm to the football, don't miss your tackles, limit yards after catch. That's the formula to limiting this Panthers offense and winning the game. I'm not going to bet on turnovers, right, or extensive amounts of pressure. I think the best way to win this game, if you're the 49ers defense, is to just keep everything in front of you. And we saw a version of that against the Cardinals. Obviously, some pretty gaudy passing numbers from Jacoby Brissett in that game. But, the 49ers got the win then, and I think they could get the win against the Panthers doing the same thing. Speaking of, though, they got to contain Rico Dowdle. Dowdle is fourth in the NFL in rushing yards, despite not being the day one starter for the Panthers. He hasn't lost a single fumble this year. He's averaging 5 yards a carry. He's totally changed the attitude of this offense. He is a beast. I love watching Rico Dowdle, and I'm going to hate watching Rico Dowdle against the 49ers tonight. Also, to throw it in, the run blocking has been great all year long for the Panthers. Dowdle is super dynamic, and the Panthers' offensive line is putting him in positions to succeed. Now, their starting center, Cade Mays, is not playing in this one. I think it'll be Austin Corbett is their backup center, I believe. But hopefully that'll benefit the 49ers a little bit, because the Niners are not going to win the ball game if Rico Dowdle is going off for 20 carries, 5 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. That's a recipe for the Panthers to win. That's how they beat the Green Bay Packers, for example. And it can't be that kind of day for Rico Dowdle if the 49ers want to win. And now I've got a goal here for the offense. You've got to convert on third down. Because this Panthers defense, they're vulnerable, right? They are bottom 5 in the NFL in third down conversion rate allowed. Long, efficient touchdown drives are going to put the 49ers in the driver's seat in this game. And in order to do that, you've got to convert on third down. Now, luckily, the Panthers' pass rush has been just as struggling as the 49ers is. They've not been especially good in that area. But it'll be up to the 49ers to execute on third downs. No matter who you play in the NFL, if you're not going to execute well, you're not going to win the football game. So I need the 49ers offense to put the team on the back, go really, really well on third down, maybe like 7 for 10, 7 for 11, 8 for 12, something great like that. Convert a bunch of third downs, long touchdown drives, control time of possession. I think that's going to help a whole lot. You really got to win the game with your offense, right? Win the game with the time of possession. And that starts with converting on third downs when you have the ball. So Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, those are the guys I'm looking to convert on third downs. Ricky Pearsall probably too. Juwan Jennings maybe. It's going to be crucial. So that's my game day checklist for tonight. Limit the explosive plays, contain Rico Dowdle, and convert on third down. Now let's talk about 3 key matchups that I've highlighted in this game. First one, it's George Kittle versus Trayvon Merrick. Merrick is a sort of chess piece, versatile safety for Carolina defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. He plays deep safety. He also plays in the box. He plays a lot of linebacker. He's this underrated kind of run defender, sort of matchup specialist type of player. He's no doubt going to match up with George Kittle at least once or twice in this game, in coverage and in the run game. And it's going to be a battle. Both of these guys are players that these teams lean on. The 49ers rely on Kittle heavily to get their run game going. And Merrick is a pretty crucial piece to this Panthers defense, who, they have not been fantastic, but they certainly have not been terrible. And that is in large part thanks to them bringing in Trayvon Merrick recently in free agency. Next up, I want to talk about Ben Bartch versus Derrick Brown. Derrick Brown, if you don't know, is the Panthers' best player. He is a dominant run-defending defensive tackle, and, he can push the pocket and affect the passer, but he makes his money in run defense. And for Ben Bartch, I think you just got to hold your own, right? I don't expect an incredible performance from Ben Bartch. I don't expect 200 yards on the ground or anything like that. But if you're Ben Bartch, you have to do just enough to keep Derek Brown from wrecking the game plan entirely, right? You have to at least keep him contained. I don't need you to be like Daniel Brunskill and be the Aaron Donald stopper, right? That's not what I'm looking for. Just do enough that the 49ers can get a little bit of a rhythm on offense. You cannot let Derek Brown ruin your game plan. And now I've got one more matchup for you guys. It's the kicker battle, Matt Gay versus Ryan Fitzgerald. Now, the 49ers are at a disadvantage in this matchup. Rookie Panthers kicker Ryan Fitzgerald has been pretty solid so far this year. 17 of 20 on field goals. He's missed 3 extra points already, so that's pretty notable. Although he did have some really big makes against the Packers and the game winner against the Atlanta Falcons last week. So Fitzgerald's been all right. He hasn't been perfect, but he's made some big kicks in some big moments for Carolina. And Matt Gay is a huge question mark. His first game as a 49er, coming off of a terrible performance in Madrid with the Washington Commanders last week. He's new city, new team, new game. Hopefully that'll be able to set his mind right a little bit. But who's the better kicker? It's hard to say. I'd probably go Fitzgerald, but we will see in this game for sure. So those are your 3 matchups. You've got George Kittle versus Trayvon Merrick, Ben Bartch versus Derek Brown, and Matt Gay versus Ryan Fitzgerald. Which matchups are you taking a look at before tonight's game? You want to see Ricky Pearsall against J.C. Horn? You want to see Trevin Wallace against Christian McCaffrey? You want to see Brock Purdy against defense coordinator Ejiro Evero? Let me know down below in the comments section what you're looking for, and let me know if I missed out on any key matchups. And now, to finish up, we've got one more segment. I want to talk about the playoff ramifications of this game because they are large. According to engineer Sebastian Carl, who runs over 50,000 simulations of different playoff scenarios and things, according to his simulations, the 49ers will have an 89% chance to make the playoffs if they win tonight. But that drops to 62% if they lose. That's a 27% swing from one game. That is massive, and it's one of the biggest swings in the league for Week 12. If you win, you're 8-4. At bare minimum, you're the 7 seed because you're still ahead of Detroit. You're still competing with the Packers, right? I don't think you'd move up to the 6th seed or anything, but you would be the 7th seed. You'd move to 8-2 in the conference. Only the Philadelphia Eagles have a better record. And you've got a massive tiebreaker over the 9-seeded Panthers. That's huge. But if you lose, then you're really in danger of missing the playoffs. You're 7-5. You're losing the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Panthers, who would also be 7-5 in that scenario. So at bare minimum, you're the 9th seed. You're losing the tiebreaker with the Panthers. You don't play the Lions, who would be the 7th seed in that scenario. So there's no chance to win that head-to-head matchup. You're likely out of the playoff picture, period, unless Carolina goes on a big losing streak. So this game is pivotal for the 49ers. It gets really ugly if you lose this game, but if you win this game, you've still got some work to do. We talked on Friday about all the teams who needed to lose for the 49ers to have better playoff odds. Every single one of them won. The Seahawks won, the Bears won, the Packers won, the Lions won. All these NFC teams fighting for playoffs won their matchups. And the 49ers absolutely have to win this week in order to keep pace. It is honestly much more acceptable to lose to Cleveland next week than it is to lose to Carolina this week. And Carolina is a much better team than Cleveland. So that is all for today's episode, folks. Who do you guys think gets the win in this pivotal Monday night matchup? Make your predictions in the comments. As for me, I'm going to predict a 49ers victory. I think it'll be very high scoring. I don't think either of these defenses are good. I don't think either of these defenses will be able to stop either of these offenses. I'm going to go 34-32 49ers. I certainly think it'll be close. These Panthers are comeback kids. They're never quite out of it. You really have to bury them. So let me know down below what you think. And of course, let me know if you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment, leave a like. Let me know if there's any topics that you'd like to see me cover. If you want to hear more about Brandon Ayuk, it will be coming later on this week. Thank you guys for watching and subscribe for 49ers videos 5 days a week. I'm Brady Grustas, at Grustas Brady on X. This has been Niners Now, and I'll see you next week.